Mike Doherty, for co-op/team games, do you like dedicated roles or everyone can do their own thing? Like Overwatch or Warcraft, role archetypes, or Destiny, Borderlands, everyone can do their own thing, but together.
I like everybody can do their own things only because Overwatch is different because those are like matches real quick.
Yep.
If I'm going to run into like the Vault of Glass, I need everybody to be comfortable with what they're doing at all times. So it's like whatever they've been playing and they know how that character works, bring your A game. If it's like all of a sudden you have to do something like the Vault of Glass, like, hey, you got to play support though. And it's like, shoot, but I haven't been playing support. Nah, man, bring your A game. But as far as Overwatch, I think I like what they've done
I do too.
with the 2-2-2. I don't know if I'm totally sold on it, but I usually would like everybody to just do their own thing. I want everybody to be at full strength.
Yeah.
Ed?
Yeah, I'd like everybody to be able to do their full strength. I think that the most reason I like 2-2-2 is because that prevents us from going against a Bastion, Torbjorn, Symmetra.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
But usually
Six
if we're
divas.
exactly, yeah. But if we're playing, usually we have a pretty fairly rounded group. I feel like the most of the people we play with think, what are we missing? Where can I fill in? Like we seem to do a pretty good job of thinking that way.
Tim?
Yeah, I was going to say I agree too. Ed, when you and I play Overwatch, we're usually both the healers because nobody else wants to do it. So we usually run that Mercy Moira train, and
Yep.
I love when we play together like that. We're good, man.
Yeah,
I feel good.
you go.
Like all the other jokers are fools, and we're just trying to heal them all and prevent them from dying all the time.
Yeah. Chris?
I like people playing their role. I like people having specific roles. I think when it comes to a game like Overwatch, because it's so approachable, every character pretty much is. Look, it's far be it from me to tell people like you should play a game a certain way. Like you should play it however you want to play it. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, if you're going to play a game like Overwatch, you really should branch out and learn like a character from each class. That way, if your team is going now, if you just don't care about winning and it's all about you, well, number one, you probably shouldn't be playing a team-based game. But number two,
Thank you.
you need to be able to fill in. And I agree. I like the 2-2-2 stuff in terms of like that at least every role has to be done. I like that they incentivize you in some respects about like, oh, if you're going to play a healer or you're going to play this, like, oh, we'll give you an extra loot box or whatever because most people want to play DPS. But they give those people that just want to do whatever they want an outlet. You have Quick Play Classic in the arcade. I really like that. When it comes to games like Destiny, per se, you can essentially do whatever you want to do, but at the same time, like if you only ever play as a hunter, or you only ever play as a warlock or whatever, when you go into a raid like the Vault of Glass or any of the other ones, because there's several new raids now because we're way past the Vault of Glass.
Yeah, sorry.
It's great to go into those, and even though you can go all the players as one class, it works better to go in the other ones because even though the shooting mechanic is all the same depending on what weapon you have, you may have an ability that could heal the team, or you may have an ability that could shield the team, or you may have an ability that makes you so quick that you can go do this one task that nobody else can do because they're not fast enough. I like the synergies and figuring that puzzle out and doing them, and then from there honing in. Like I'm a really good hunter. One thing that I really enjoyed, and a lot of people actually didn't really like this raid, but I really liked the Crota raid because I felt like because of my main class that I liked the most was a hunter. A lot of times on the final boss, you had to take this big sword and attack the final boss. And more often than not, it made more sense to do that with a hunter. And I liked having that role. I liked that I fit that. When I went into the Crota raid, unless there was like a bunch of other hunters in there, I knew that task was going to fall to me and taking that on. And I found that to be super entertaining and super enjoyable to go in there and know that this is going to be my task and I can't let the team down. And there's those roles throughout the entire thing. I love the role-based stuff, or whenever maybe your character, maybe it's not a role so much, but you have certain abilities that in this time frame, we're really counting on you to do this thing. And then I kind of like that pressure.
And I want to clarify too, because I think that what Chris is saying is the beauty of it. Now, he always played hunter. I always played warlock. And then, somebody usually would fill that other role. And so I like when it's natural, not when you're forced to do it like you're with Overwatch is kind of what I mean. I wouldn't want us to show up and Chris is like, sorry, buddy, you got to play warlock because there's not a warlock.
Sure.
And he's like, shoot, I like to but I'm really good with Hunter. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? That's more what I
Yeah.
mean. I like when it, kind of like with Apex. Apex has this whole thing where you're choosing people, and usually I would, the first person chooses, and then second person chooses, then the third person chooses. And if I was the third person and Lifeline hadn't gotten chosen yet, then it's like, okay, well, she does healing. I'll choose Lifeline because of her special abilities. But I like when
Not
it's
just
a little
because of
bit
her
more
great
natural.
dialogue.
Yeah, not because of that. Doc.
Kind of piggybacking off of what Chris said though, like in Overwatch, as much as I want everyone to play what they want, I also want them to, whatever they choose, to play that character.
That's right.
Yes.
Like
Don't go shooting
Play-
with Mercy.
Play it correctly
Yeah.
the way he's
yeah,
supposed
right,
to be
right,
played.
right,
Right.
Play your role. Yeah.
Yep.
And see, in a game
Yep.
like Destiny or Apex or something where it's a smaller team base, essentially at the
Yeah.
end of the day, those games, and it's a little bit different because they're FPS games, but you're essentially doing the same thing. It's just your ability where that comes into what does that bounce whether. Overwatch is so different, and in some respects, I assume Valorant is very similar in this way, where because it is a team-based game, and the only way to win is for the team to have success. It only makes sense that you learn the other roles and what needs to be where, and be capable
Sure.
of filling in, because there will be no success otherwise. Whereas in a Destiny, you could go into a strike, a Nightfall strike, as 3 hunters or 3 warlocks, and you can get it done. I mean, it's going to be more helpful that this one does healing
Yeah.
or whatever, but if you want to do that, you can just do it. It's really only in the raid where it's like, okay, we really need to have these other things, unless you're
That's
just
right.
really good at the game, because that ability would really help us. But Overwatch is way more dependent on team synergies and what plays well with each other. I guess in my head, I just see them a bit different. And so for the most part, I guess I kind of
Yeah.
feel the same
Oh,
as
yeah.
you, but in Overwatch or games like it, I feel like you really should, even if you're like, I'm the Soldier 76 guy and that's the only way, it's like, you really should branch out a little bit more, because there's going to come a time where you really need that healer or you really need that tank. And
Yeah.
it's going to help you. It could be between you winning and losing the game.
Yep.
What about a game like Call of Duty? Is it not necessarily a role and more about a weapon? Like we need a sniper?
It's
or-
not even that. When it comes to Call of Duty, like multiplayer, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Like, there are maps where it makes more sense for sightline stuff. And they've branched out into these bigger maps that are more like kind of akin to something that you would see in a Battlefield, where it's bigger engagements. And yeah, maybe you could say that, but there's so many players on it. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. And a person
really.
can have a sniper rifle and use it like an SMG because they're so good with it. They can use it up close and it doesn't matter. And then vice versa.
Yeah.
You get people with just an SMG that they're just so good they could shoot at range kind of thing. Not quite as far, but it really doesn't matter when it comes to Call of Duty. It's really an every man for himself. Just be good and your team will win.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.